Sure. Sure.
Good turn. You're being ready out.
Yes. Thanks.
Welcome everyone to the 10th of June Whangamatā Community Board meeting. My name is Dennis Beaver. I am the Deputy Chair filling in for Dave, who is unwell. We are sure Dave will come in online very soon. So we'll jump into apologies. I believe we have none, but we'll just accept that Dave's going to come in late. So we have nothing to react to that.
Yes, we need to do a resolution for lateness.
Do I have to do a resolution for lateness?
Oh, yes. Well, the meeting hadn't started.
No, not for you,
No,
for Dave. For Dave.
To come in online.
He's struggling to get in online.
Okay, can we have a
I'm happy to move it.
move? So Chair,
Okay,
move in a
second.
Yeah, all those in favour of that coming in late?
Aye.
Right. Carried. All right, so today we have quite a few speakers in the public forum. So may I remind you all that you've got 5 minutes to speak. So you've got to use that time. We've got several people and it looks like quite a few new ones that we didn't know about till today. And I think the bulk of people are here to talk about the information centre. So once again, I think if you are here to talk about the information centre and the person before you is saying exactly the same thing, it's nice if we're all here, you know, and we're not just not repeating the same thing, other it's going to be a long meeting because we've got a lot of speakers speaking for 5 minutes. So hopefully you might have all talked together and have some sort of system and plan where you're going with it. We also have speakers, only one other speaker for the Rotary Hall. So I might, if I can, ask Margaret and Jenny to speak first so we can talk about that for 5 minutes, if that's okay.
It's just saying that he needs somebody to let him in.
Dave, try to come to that meeting.
Yeah, I can't see him. He's not popping up.
Okay, so we'll just carry on. Welcome and thank you. 5 minutes.
Kia ora tātou, Chair Beaver, Councillors Gottlieb and Walker and Community Board members. My name is Margaret Nicholson and Jenny and I are here to represent the Exclude Board United Corporation. We at the Rotary Hall. Just have 3 things that I want to share with you today. The first was many of you would have been at our last 2 presentations to the Community Board, and there were quite a few discussions on generally how halls were funded, and particularly in relation to heating, but there was a lot of discussions on how they're managed, and I'm pleased to say that we met with Eileen and Dean last week, and they told us that they're going through a review of how not just our hall but all halls will be managed, and we're excited about that, and just wanted to publicly say that we'd love to co-create and work on that policy, and that the hall is hugely important to our community and will be to other communities in your areas as well. The second piece of news is to tell you that we've got heating going in by the end of the month. So we really wanted to say an enormous thank you to the Community Board. You helped seed some money for that. We've had from the community some very generous donors who've used the hall, have been very generous with what they've given us, and the Bondi team have come up trumps too. So, and I wanted everyone in this room to know that from the end of June we are going to have a beautifully warm hall, and we would love you all to come and use the lots because that's been a huge barrier. And thank you, Deputy Mayor Walker, for your words of encouragement for warm halls. The third thing was just to let you know that we are having a celebration for Karakia on Sunday, 22nd of June, around lunchtime, and there will be more information coming out through our newsletter, and that's for Matariki, but also the 60th birthday celebration. So we would love everyone to come. Of course, it will all add up to 99. There is 4, but we would, just a huge thank you, and I appreciate your patience. We've been coming here regularly each month, and once things are set up and systems are going well, we're just really looking forward to this facility really flourishing, and appreciate all the work, particularly from Eileen and Dean and the property team, and we're making some progress. So thank you. And for the information centre, you know, whoever runs it, please tell them about our hall. Thank you.
Any questions or?
Just a quick one, clarification that, yes, Dean's team here is working on that hall program, and it should have something later on this year about how it's going to work. So it'll be good. Understand the new rules, where it's going, and how communities can look after halls without having to pay so much to look after halls.
Awesome. Yes, and thank you for your presentation. And I think from us, you've got an amazing job from turning that hall around to what it is. It's an amazing thing that you've done, and you've done a lot of external funding, and you've been happy to help you along the way. Thank you. Yes. So I think we'll start. I might start with Ryan, because you were the first one on here, and just remind everyone to speak up, because we have got people listening online as well, and it's a bit hard to hear some people. You got it, okay? So you're something going to go. Whenever you do that.
Morena koutou, Chair Dennis and community board members and councillors, thank you for the opportunity to speak to you this morning. So I'm here to present on behalf of the Whangamatā Information Centre operators to just have a little presentation on our business plan and our proposal before you today, and also to be available to answer any questions that you may have. So first of all, we believe it is vital to have a dedicated information centre to promote Whangamatā as a destination and to take care of our visitors while they're here. When I first saw the expressions of interest open, one of the first things I did was went and had a chat to Diana and Graham about how it's been operating there and running. And one of my questions was, is there still a need for an information centre, you know, with more things being online and young people accessing things online? And they said a lot of young people still come in and they still want to talk and hear information firsthand and talk to an expert. And they said that often the young people will go and book things online, but they still want to talk to somebody, and that face-to-face, that interaction with the person and the expert is really valuable, and still really valuable, and irreplaceable really by the modern technologies. Even though you can book and access things online, having that dedicated space and having people that you can actually talk to is really valuable and really important. Our proposal, we believe, is a balanced and sustainable operating model. And that's something that's really important to us, to combine experienced paid staff with well-trained volunteers, and that will deliver a high level of service, but also be something that's sustainable. What we want is a long-term solution. There's been a lot of operators over the years I've been here, and we want to propose something that'll be long-term, that's not going to fall over in 3 years, that it can actually keep going. Won't be reliant on one or two people, but will be a big team of people and dedicated people that can see this actually as a long-term solution for the information centre here. Another thing we can offer is specialist knowledge of local wharfs, outdoor activities and the natural environment. We've got a lot to offer here in Whangamatā, and it's not well promoted. Particularly in our walks, when you talk to people who are visiting, all they really hear about is Wentworth Valley. Wentworth Valley is a fantastic walk, but we've got a lot more to offer. From Whangamatā, we've got some world-class walks that would rival Cathedral Cove, but they're not well promoted. And that's something we can offer, is promoting that online, as well as having a lot more information on store about what Whangamatā offers. Importantly, the information centre is also a hub for the community, promoting local events, selling tickets, supporting fundraisers and sharing community stories. And we would continue to support the community by offering all of those services. We're also committed to promoting local history and local stories, and working with mana whenua and heritage groups to promote Whangamatā. Again, that's something I really think is lacking in Whangamatā, and that's something tourists are often looking for when they come and visit, and something that we could offer. And finally, we have a really strong governance team. What we're proposing to do is to take over the existing incorporated society that Diana and Graham have been running, which would be a really smooth transition. Would also have some continuity because Graham's agreed to stay on as in governance on that incorporated society. So that would help us transition and leverage off the expertise and experience that he's had. But also on our team, we've got people with experience in business, some experience in community work, education, event management. So we've got a really strong team that can run this professionally and run it really well. So yeah, we're confident in our ability. We've got a good plan in place, and we think we can do a really good job for promoting Whangamatā and supporting our community. So thanks for your time, and over to any questions that you may have. Questions?
Brian, how many people do you think you will have on your team to run the centre?
So what we're suggesting is a paid manager who would work around 2 days a week, and then some part-time paid staff, and then a team of probably up to 10 volunteers. We've got some people put their hands up already who are willing to step into that role, and we'd do some more recruiting if we got the green light and we've been ahead. So we'd have a big team, but we'd make sure that everyone was trained and experienced and knew what to do in their roles.
Just following up on that, there's a lot of organisations rely on volunteers, and sometimes there's they fall over because there's a lack of commitment from the volunteers, or they do a year and then say, no, I'm moving on or whatever. So what sort of pool of volunteers do you think you would have? Some have already put their hand up, or you have to go and recruit them?
So some have put their hand up just from the small conversations that we've had.
Yeah.
But we would go out and recruit if our proposal was confirmed and went ahead. But the key there, I think, is the mix of paid and volunteer, not relying solely on volunteers, which, like you say, can be tricky. Also having a large pool, so if someone's sick, there's someone else you can call upon.
And do you think that the 50,000 or 54 or whatever it is sufficient for you to operate that centre sufficiently, and you won't need to come back to council for further funds?
We believe so. Yeah, that's why we've gone with the approach of partly using volunteers. It's not a huge amount of money, but we think we can make it work. And that is part of our approach, that we could apply for maybe grant funding and other funding, but we're not planning to come back to the community board for additional funds.
Okay. Thank you, Ryan.
And Derek?
Yeah, thank you for your introduction. So the focus of the group and the information centre, is it more going to be face-to-face than digital displays?
Both. I think there's real value in promoting Whangamatā online, and it's important, as well as the face-to-face when people actually get here.
Yeah.
So I think both is important. Any further? Dave hasn't got his hand up, I know.
Can I say a few words?
Well, you had a 5-minute slot as well, so if you would like to, absolutely.
Well, I'll be very brief. And thank you for letting me speak. Acknowledge everyone sitting at this table, as well as the supporters around the room from our community. Over 10 years ago, I was involved with the Info Centre, and that's when it was volunteers. So we have an intimate knowledge of the workings and what's required. So my wife and I are pleased to be able to put our hands up to volunteer for this organisation again. I think Ryan has gone over a lot of things that I intended to say, so I won't waste your time. The other important thing is not putting down any other applicants for this info centre, the running of it, but should the info centre move out of the building, what are the chances when it becomes involved in a commercial operation, what are the chances of it surviving? The new people that could come in if the business is sold, it could it could suffer because of it, because of the lack of knowledge. Who are the people that are going to run it after that? They be locals? Is that what we're about? We're about Whangamatā. The people at Whangamatā who know this job, this info centre, and who can operate it for the community and on behalf of the community. Now, should that go, what happens to the building? We would have lots of promises of where that building could happen, where it could go. But once it's gone, it could be gone forever. The info centre, in its present position, provides a good thing for this community. So I'm hoping that we will, even if there's another applicant and they run it from the info centre, fine. But we'll keep the building, keep the business, it's successful, and it can only get better. And that's our intention. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Any questions? Thank you very much. So next I have Helen McCabe. Would like to speak.
Morning, thank you. I came here in '94 and our family grew up here, and I've been involved in a lot of community groups. And the information centre has always been a real focus and a really important part of being here. And so I've seen all the struggles with changes and things, but the actually core business of the information being there in that building where people know where to go and it's clear where to go and where to find information, that there'll be people there who are knowledgeable in a broad sense. I've always really admired that service, and I believe it should stay in that building. But if being in a business is a distraction and it cannot probably function in the same way. So I support having that community service, information service in the building and being connected with community groups, because community groups are the spine and the support of our town, and the information centre is a focal point. Also, I was away just recently for a few weeks overseas, and knowing where the information centre is crucial to tourism. Being hidden inside another business, I don't think would work. And I also you can get that broad sense of knowledge through having connections with other community groups. So I fully support having the information centre on site and being connected with the community group. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions or comments? Thank you very much. So next we have Heather.
Kia ora, everyone. Thank you for the opportunity, Councillor Nevis and Chair. My name is Heather Watt and I'm currently the Chairperson of the Whangamatā Arts Collective. I'm here to speak on behalf of the Whangamatā Arts Collective to express our really strong support in retaining Whangamatā Information Centre in its original building where it is presently located. The Info Centre, we believe, is far more than a place to collect brochures and ask for directions. It's the heartbeat of our town, a welcoming face that offers not just information but connection. For groups like ours, the Arts Collective, the Info Centre plays a key role in promoting creativity, culture and community events. Each year, the centre spreads the word about our exhibitions, workshops, the Harcourts Challenge and the Easter Arts Trail. All events, yes, are arts events, but not only do they bring locals together, but attract visitors who eat at our cafes, stay in our homes and motels, and discover the unique character of Whangamatā. The staff and volunteers at the centre are real community people. They know what's happening and where to find it. They help us make connections, guide visitors to our events, and support artists, creators and small businesses by ensuring our work is visible and valued. It's not just about tourism. We believe it's about identity. The Info Centre supports the stories, the passions and efforts of many groups in Whangamatā. It represents the spirit of our town, inclusive, creative and connected. To lose the Information Centre would be to lose an essential hub that binds many parts of our community together, from sports clubs to cultural events, markets to memorials and everything in between. So, on behalf of the Arts Collective and the wider creative community, I urge decision makers to see the centre not as a cost, but as an investment in our people, our economy, and the unique fabric of Whangamatā. Let's keep it where it is. Let's keep it strong and let's keep it local. Thanks, Gary.
Any questions? Awesome, thank you very much. Therese, I think it is.
Kia ora, thank you for the opportunity to speak. My name is Therese Dixon. I'm Treasurer of the Whangamatā Theatre Society. On behalf of the Theatre Society, we would like to support that the information remains in its present location. The Info Centre is a central hub for the town. Visitors from all over the world come to the centre for advice on activities around the district, friendly chat and lots of local information. The Theatre Society are indebted to the Info Centre. They sell tickets to our shows. We don't have a website and we don't sell tickets through online. So for us, it's really important. They promote our shows with posters and signboards. Graham goes out of his way to involve the radio station. It's a place where we can not just us, but we can drop off books for the Lions Fair, bring out bottle tops for kidney kids, and there's so many other things that they do. I feel if the Info Centre was not a standalone place where visitors and locals can come in for information, a chat, or to buy an eclectic gift they might have, it would lose the personal touch we all feel when we go in there. If the Info Centre was to be integrated into a commercial business, for instance, there is the possibility that there wouldn't be the time and commitment to give to visitors who grace our town and are on the lookout for an activity or just a briefly chat. So the Theatre Society is in favour of our Information Centre being retained in its current location.
Thank you. Questions? Thank you very much. Bruce Scott.
Good morning. Thanks for the opportunity. I got roped into this actually really short notice, so nothing's prepared. Other than I was asked to basically have a little bit of background information relating to the history of the Information Centre. I don't know whether people are aware that on the grass area just out the back here, the original Information Centre was built, the little timber shed, which is now the toy library down by the Ocean Sports Club. My sister ran it then. That was back in about 1975. And then this building was built. And the suggestion was made, and I'm not too sure what the years, in late 1980s, to build an information centre because there was seen as a real demand for it. At that stage of it, we had done several what we called quick builds in town, a couple of units that were built in a weekend just on the other side of the bridge and causeway to raise money for the swimming pool. The swimming pool was then done and a lot of quick build stuff was put into there, and it was decided that we would try and build the information centre as a quick build. And that's what happened. I must admit that the town was running a bit thin on quick builds at that stage of it, but we did get it done. And it was seen as a real benefit to the town. The design was done so that it tied in with this building in terms of the bricks and the general look of the building and that type of thing. And I think that although it's had its ups and downs over the years, and I haven't been directly involved with it, there's been a number of examples of why it's absolutely critical that it actually stays in that building and keeps operating in a similar manner to what it is currently being built. Being operated. That's probably a very quick rundown on some of the history of the thing. And to me personally, I would see it as a real shame to have it taken away from that actual position and the way it's operated currently. Thank you.
Thank you.
Quick, well done.
Cheers, guys. That's a nice thing. Finally, real picture.
Lucky last. Okay, I think most of you people know me. I'm Ralph Pitcher and I represent the Lions Club of Whangamatā. The Whangamatā Lions Club submits a statement in strong support of retaining the information centre at its current Port Road location. We're aware of a proposal under consideration that would see the existing centre repurposed as a council space for public meetings. We respectfully oppose this proposal and submit that such a move would be counterproductive to community and visitor interests. Why the current location should be retained? For high visibility and accessibility, the Port Road site is well located, easily accessible for visitors and locals, and highly visible in the heart of Whangamatā's commercial and tourism area. Established foot traffic, the centre is already known and relied upon by visitors for information, directions and resources. Relocation would disrupt continuity and diminish its effectiveness. Dedicated purpose, the centre has been purpose-built and fitted out to deliver tourism and community information. Its setup cannot be easily replicated elsewhere. We've got concerns about the council's proposal. Redundancy. The Whangamatā Memorial Hall is already designed and available for public meetings. It's underutilised and fully capable of serving the proposed function without any change to the information centre. The loss of community asset, replacing a well-functioning information centre with a duplicative, that's a good word, facility would be a poor use of ratepayer-owned infrastructure. There'd be an impact on tourism during the peak visitor season. Having a central accessible information point is critical to ensuring a positive visitor experience. Removing this service sends the wrong message. Additional community and historical comment. We support the establishment of a charitable trust to run the information centre, run by the community, for the community. The Whangamatā Lions Club has been involved with the information centre from its earliest beginning, including providing volunteer labour to dig footings for the current building. We also supply the annual Whangamatā information booklet, which is a key resource used by the centre. Our position and the request is the Whangamatā Lions Club urges the Community Board and Council to reject any proposal to remove or relocate the information centre from its current location, affirm the Port Road building's designation as a dedicated visitor and community information facility. Thank you for the opportunity to give that representation.
Yeah.
Do you support the running of the centre by the group that Ryan represents?
Yes.
And would the Lions Club be able to provide any volunteers for the running of the?
For specific jobs, we certainly would.
Not as a general.
Well, I wouldn't want a committee or a committee. We're committed to lots of different things, but if they had a specific job that they needed us to be, I'm sure that we would be able to get that on.
And finally, how many members does the Lions Club have at the moment?
The Lions Club at the moment, 27.
Oh, okay, thank you. Yeah.
Any other questions or? Thank you very much.
Yes.
Yes, so that concludes our public speakers. So under the motion that the Whangamatā Community Board receive the guest speakers, Heather Watt, Margaret Nicholson, Jenny Noah, Brian Thompson, Helen McCabe, Bruce Scott, Ralph Pitcher, Teresa Dixon and Peter Priest. We have a motion.
Yeah.
One second.
Yeah, Mark's seconded.
Yep, all those in favour?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. So now we move to 1.4, the late items for the nothing. Any conflict with interest to declare? No one? No. That's good. Okay, and minute for confirmation for the previous,
I'll move that we accept the minutes as a true and accurate record.
so the Whangamatā Community Board moves accepts the minutes for confirmation for the Whangamatā Community Board meeting held on the 29th of April 2025. Got Terry's 27.
I'll second it.
All those in favour?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, now we're getting on to item 2.1. We've got the information centre funding operation. So we have Kirsten, please speak. She's got
Morning, councillors, community board members. I'll take your all with the report on the information centre. I would like to point out and apologise to Ryan regarding the late business plan that was received by you last Friday. I know that you'll have a copy of that. Are there any questions on the report?
Oh, Terry, sorry. Yeah.
Yes, the report they put through, obviously they missed out the business plan side of it. And you've got that business plan now?
You have got these.
You've received that, haven't you?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, I've got some questions to ask, but carry on. Yep.
Yeah, so we had received 2 applications, one from Appleby Books. The proposal included having an information service located at Whangamatā Books on Port Road, with a dedicated area built in the building and staffed by one of their existing staff members. The kiosk or information desk area would be have the ability to be open late night Wednesdays and Saturdays. Obviously, the store is open those extra hours. And I know that the bookstore has already applied to do the information centre going back a number of years. So it's something that they have been interested in providing to the area. With the application from the Whangamatā Community to be operated here, run under the current incorporated society that Graham and Diana run the information centre under. I believe they both would be great operators, both very passionate about your community, really knowledgeable about things going on in Whangamatā and what's available to visitors. But the big difference would be somebody operating the information centre based from the current space and somebody operating the information centre from a commercial business. We have had issues in the past with community groups and other operators of the information centre that haven't been able to financially sustain the business for with the funding provided by council. And then as you know, there have been requests to council to top up for I think for the last 3 years at the top of my head, an extra $30,000 per annum. And I don't know how big your retained earnings pot is and whether it can sustain doing that continually to operate an information centre, or if different providers would be able to offer different services to assist with that funding. So yeah, so those are your two applications in front of you too.
Comments or questions? Here,
Do you want to go first?
Oh, I don't have any questions for your question, but I do have a couple of comments. Initially, before I came to this meeting, I was really quite thinking that it made more sense to go to the Whangamatā location because of the failed history of previous operators in the centre here, including some who have had considerable experience. However, I have changed my mind. I'm swayed by the support from the local community groups, which I think is very encouraging to have that. And I'm also have a concern, as raised by Peter, about, if Whangamatā were to sell and you got somebody from out of the district who didn't really know the district and its concerns. So for that reason, I'm now favouring Ryan's group running the centre. Yeah, that's my comments.
Without repeating what Neil's just said, I changed my mind too, and the guts of it really was Peter's comment. That's well made, Peter. But I'm supporting that the society take and remain in the same place.
I think a bit of context for the public on how this has all come about, I suppose, is we as the community board here have heard from the previous operator that just can't operate on that money. I think who said we paid out $30,000 over the last 3 years and been told that if we don't replace it, we'll fall over and can't operate. It's too expensive to run now. So I think that's where that side of it's come from. So when the expressions of interest have gone out over the past few operators, it just hasn't been people come forward. I think the past maybe 4 or 5 operators have all walked away saying they can't afford to run it for that sort of money. So, we're now in an interesting situation where I suppose we've got to almost take the emotion out of it and look at it from a ratepayer side of things, that if we go and continue the status quo and it carries on like it is, are we going to then next year be in the same situation? We're going to be asked to spend $30,000 to top it up. I'm not sure. We've heard before from community groups that have said exactly the similar sort of proposal, that they're going to come in and run it. They sit there for a while and they run it, and then they say, hey, look, it's hard. I'm not saying that may happen. We've got to look at it like that, what could happen. We talked in our last networking meeting about it going to Craig, because at that stage it was the only option. There was no one else had come forward, so it wasn't that we were favouring it for any other reason. There was no other applicants, and I believe that Brian's applicant was right on the last hour, so hence the reason I think we were all swaying that way. Now we're going to make that decision. But yeah, I think we need to think, is there some sort of guarantee that they're not going to come to the community board again for ratepayers to top it up by $30,000? The other thing to take into account is the hours. It's doing about half the hours it used to do back in the day. It's not open on a Sunday. It's, an information centre when people come to town should be open 7 days a week, just the way I feel about it, not part-time, because it's really a part-time business now. So that's something I think we need to all consider as well. The option of going down the road does give you twice as many hours. It's open late nights, it's open every day. That's something that we can look at. So yeah, that's my comments.
Yeah, thank you. I've got some comments to make too. First of all, Kirsten, are any other community board, the information centres commercial, or are they all incorporated societies? I just need to get.
They're all incorporated societies currently.
Yeah. So the only ever commercial activity we've had is through the Gold Place in Thames.
That's correct.
Okay. Okay, so my points are really around the fact that the community board, as a community board member over these years, I've supported the information centre, and you've heard today from the community. And this decision is not a personal decision. It's got to be a decision based on what the community want. And I think the community have spoken here today. They've made it clear what their voice is, and we have to listen to it. And whether it needs $2 or $20 or $100,000 to run, it's up to them to decide, and us, the community, would understand the benefits that the information centre bring to the community. And I think you've been told to that quite clearly. And if I go to, and I appreciate Craig at Applebee's, he's a good operator in a commercial business, but in page 16 of his information through his business plan, he says, because of businesses as a retail outlet, the existing foot traffic type measures won't work. It's impractical to differentiate between information and retail customers. It has been suggested to us that we should look to focus more on the provision of an online service. Currently, our online presence is provided through the New Zealand Booksellers Association and is more of just a referral site. Interactive presence and the development would be a priority. And I say the information centre is a face-to-face business down there, first and foremost. And those who already can go online currently will go online, but still come to the information centre to know what is local knowledge, what is the reason we should be here, what else can we see that we don't see online. And that's been a powerful message come through over those years. So I support the Ryan and his group going forward, and I want to say I'd support them going on to make sure it does work. So if they do have issues and financial issues, they should be able to come back to the community board and explain those issues like they've done in the past. So I support what they're going to do. Thank you.
Dave, can you hear it? You got any comments you'd like to make? No?
Yes, good morning. I hear what is being said today, but I consider that the hours that it would be provided by using Applebury's business would extend the service. And also, I think that the building that is presently being used could also be used for other purposes, for meetings, etc., within the community. We have had, in the 6 years that I've been here, we've had a number of people that have tried, and it has been unsuccessful. And it's good today to see that the backing that is coming through from the community, but unfortunately, it doesn't seem to be there all the time. And it's only when a point like this comes that people come together and do it. The amount of volunteers that you talk about means a heck of a lot of training by a lot of people, whereby if it was the people that were the stationers, then you're only dealing and training with 4 or 5 people. And I think that it is a good location as well. Where it is situated, it has a lot of foot traffic, and there is a lot of information coming through in relation to beach hop, etc., where people go and attend to get their products and that from there. And I would support, because of the amount of money that we've put into it over the last 3 years, and it hasn't worked, that we look at a new alternative. And for my vote, I would say Applebee's.
I think, to sum it up, we've got to make a decision here. We've got to decide whether we retain that building. I think in the last time we did talk about the use of that building could be for community meetings. And from that meeting, we had no other operator, so I went out to several community groups, and they were 100% in support of using that for meeting rooms. As a booking room, you can book it. And so that was before we knew we had another operator in and looking for the information. So I think we've got to make a decision and make a vote. So if someone wants to put a motion forward,
I move that that approval to run the information centre be given to Ryan's group.
So all in favour?
No, just the first one, receive the Whangamatā Information Centre report, and then secondly, and I'm happy to second that.
Yeah. Yes. Okay. So that the Whangamatā Community Board receives the Whangamatā Information Centre funding and operations approval report dated June 25.
Yeah.
Second approved.
You move and second.
Yes. Yep. So I'm saying I can overmove it for that one.
Yep.
Second, yeah.
Yep. All those in favour?
Aye.
I still move the report. And then now we've had a motion from Neil to approve the
Expression of
of interest for the
Ryan,
which is the Information Centre Society, is it called? Operated Society. So
at its existing location.
yeah. All those in favour?
Aye.
Aye. Again?
Opposed? So
Aye.
Motion carried.
Yeah. You want your name for it?
Yeah.
So if you stay on your side.
So thank you. Done.
Well done.
That's a good point.
Okay, now we item 2.2, which is discretionary fund request.
So we've got two requests today. We've got the Community Services Trust asking for 7,500, and we've got Marketing Works for 11,874. So I think, should we go through separately? And we'll start with the Community Services Trust, which is, if you'll have in your reports there, to do with the food bank and Comfort Kai. If anyone have any comments or feedback on that? Yeah, I have some concerns with that one because I think it's not really a core role of council or the community. I think if the community want to support the mission of the Community Services Trust, they can do so privately. And, you know, I do acknowledge they do a great job, but I don't think it's something that as a community board we should be supporting.
Yeah, I think from myself, I sort of agree with that. I mean, where did it stop and start? Since I've been an elected member, we've been asked by several community groups like this, when they basically say they run out of money, can we help them with something? I believe that should be a government funded thing. I think ratepayers' money should go to the core things that council's meant to do, and I'm not sure whether a food bank's one of them, but it's just, I suppose we can discuss that and see if things.
Have they tried for funding from us in the past? Is that question too?
Not since I've been elected, but
No.
it says in here that they were getting government funding, for us. The government's changed the funding model, I believe, the way they do it. So that's why they're now short and they're coming to ask us. I believe without someone from them here to talk about it, that it looks like it's run through the food bank money, and then it's a separate sort of thing they do. If you read what they've put here, I don't quite understand. It was just who's off the books here.
Yeah.
But I suppose the other thing is voluntary, but they say they pay $6,700 from the food bank and Comfort Kai. So it is a little bit confusing. I'm unsure, you know, how it all works, and then maybe someone else might have more information if they're asked around it. Yeah. It looks like the way you read it, they are 7,000 short of what they're doing, and they've come to us if we can help. I've got to decide.
Yeah, I support what they're trying to do here. Kai Comfort is a great organisation, providing, I think it says 1,800 or 1,900 meals over a 48-week period. They look like they've gone into some funding issues here. I would have liked somebody to come along and speak to it, because I feel a little bit out of my depth speaking to support it without knowing financials behind it. But they are a good organisation. I think if we've got to think about this money as money that the community has until the 1st of July, this would be an organisation that I'd support to give it to if there was no one else to give it to. That's where I fit.
Yeah, I think we've had a couple of questions on that this is our last meeting before the end of the financial year. You know, and there's a theory, if we don't spend the money, then it goes back in, but it goes back into retained earnings. So I think we've got to be careful there. We just don't want to spend ratepayers' money because there's a chance to spend it. Still goes back in, it's still ratepayers' money, but that's what we've got to decide. So any other comments or questions on that one? Before we vote? Dave's not on.
I just think that it is a very good service that has been done, but I don't think that is something that we can afford at this stage. There's so much that is going ahead at present with different requests for money, etc. And considering the fact that we just don't know what's coming up in the future, I would say that if we gave anything, we only give a couple of $1,000s to them.
Any other comments?
Yeah, well, the only other comment is we are a little bit light on information, and
yeah, that's to me, any future to be with 2 sets of books, I'm not really sure who's running.
But I mean, I do acknowledge that they are a great organisation and they do a good job, and the people who turn up and volunteer to do the cooking, I think it's on a Wednesday. It's well supported, and people do make use of what's being offered. So
I think if you read this, I'm not sure they are volunteers. So it looks like there's wages and salaries of nearly $30,000. So I don't know how it works, and that it's a shame that someone's not here to answer. But we've got got to make a decision on. So I think, Dave, are you actually putting a motion forward that you're saying $2,000?
I would put that motion forward that we provide $2,000 towards their assistance.
I'm happy to second that.
Okay, so we've got a mover and a second. So can I do just one at a time?
Yeah.
And, yep. So, okay, so we've got the motion.
I'd just like to speak to it.
Terry.
Yeah. So I just got to get the heads around this. Dave, as Dave said, this is money that could go to other things, but how the money works when it goes back into retained earnings, this kind of application wouldn't be received well, which would go through retained earnings and back into council for a sign off. So this is community money for community needs. And if the money's not spent, it disappears at the 30th of June, and there's some new money coming in next year. So while I support the $2,000, I'm just saying to the group, if they want to reapply for some more in the new year, then come with a story that would most probably give it a bit of hearing. But at the moment, support the $2,000. Okay.
So can I just clarify that with Terry too? So you're saying, I guess the option would be to say no and come back in 1st of July with a better story.
Well,
is that what you said, or
no? I'm just saying that we're prepared to give them some money up front. What I'm saying is the money that's left today will go into retained earnings.
Yeah.
But that retained earnings is not money you can come up and apply for this kind of things for. Retained earnings goes into major projects around the town, and it would go through council to get signed off. So if we want to use this money for community activity and we think it's a good idea, we should use this money up.
Now,
if we don't use it up, it'll be very difficult to use it back into community things for the future.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So, thanks.
Okay, so far we've got a motion from Dave for $2,000. Have we got any other motions, or we're running with that? Okay, so we've got a second for Dave's motion.
Aye.
All those in favour of $2,000?
Aye.
Aye.
I'll abstain.
What's that thing?
I'm going to abstain.
Abstain, yeah. Okay, cool. And now we go into marketing works, which is for funding of the replacement centres and Christmas decorations, which is main power poles. So Eileen, basically, so what that is to replace them. We've had them for many years, and each little while the community board got some money aside to replace and repair some of them. So I believe that's what this is for.
That's correct. So the centres themselves are fine. The majority of them are fine. They've been repaired, repainted. But the request is for actually 2 complete sets, which is the centres, the wreaths, the lights, and the garlands. The greenery, which is the wreaths, the garlands, just normal wear and tear, our coastal conditions had caused havoc with them. So last year, when we went through them, there was only 9 sets of centres that we could put up. So this request is to fund for 2 complete sets to replace 2 of the broken centres, and some of the centres are stolen as well. But the majority of them is for the replacement greenery, so that we can actually this Christmas have at least 15 sets of centres up on the poles.
And once again, just something for the public, a bit of context on that, we have decided as a community board through the year that we would save some money for this, as we believe it's a great asset for the community. They've been there for a long time. They look really good at Christmas time for everyone to come and see the town. So any other comment from board members on that?
I have had comments when we had COVID and we were going to put them up. There were comments to say that it doesn't feel like Christmas until our centres are up.
But how long have they actually been going up? Many?
Around
a long time. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, any
15 years, maybe more.
Yeah. Okay. So I'll put the motion forward that we fund $11,874.
I second it.
Second. All those in favour?
Aye.
Yeah.
Eileen, the $5,000 that's not been, what's left, 5,750, 17 something?
So we've got 3,000, sorry.
So go to 5,
We've got 6,000, so you can use that to do some more centres if you want.
Yeah, well, I think if we invest in centres or putting them up, you know, the flags for Anzac and things like that?
So you can't use that money for the beach hop flags because it's already.
In the next year.
Yes, that's next year. But if you want to change that resolution or make another resolution that the remaining money is spent on more greenery, then that's just a request that we won't have to come back.
Yeah, I would like to move that we use the excess money from the grants to furnish centres of greenery, whatever you call it.
Okay, so you're putting the motion for that, we have, sorry, how much is it?
So you've got $6,343 left.
So your motion is to put that towards
centres
replacement and upgrade of the surfing centres.
I would second that.
So
and then that would, so can you give us a right figure so we can write it in?
sorry, I've just now. So the total that was left is $6,343.
Your motion is for that.
So Jerry's motion is if we spend the rest, that would buy another 3 lots of greenery, the park ones.
Yeah.
Of 1,979 each. And that would then leave us with going into retained earnings $406.
Yeah, and just go.
So we have Terry and then Dave second that. All those in favour?
Aye.
Aye. Against? Okay, so the Whangamatā Community Board received the discretionary fund report dated 24th February. We've done that, and then approves the approves request for the allocation of discretionary funds of $2,000 to the community trust, 11,874 to marketing works, and then the remainder of 6,343 to them. So
the 3 sets greenery total $5,937.
Okay, so we've done all that. We're going to need a re-motion of this. That will be done separately. The truth.
We've done the motion.
So we've done that. Okay, so we've finished that. Moving on to
work program.
Item 3.1, which is CAPEX work program. I think we have Luke online for that one.
What day's good as 10?
Oh, sorry, Dave, go ahead. You've got something. Give your hand up. Okay.
He's on mute.
He's on mute. I take his hand down. He must be from before. That's right. Is Luke there or Luke online?
He's in Gary's office.
Oh, sorry. Sorry, we just grabbed you.
What I saw here. What needs place?
Thank you. See you.
All right, just push the button and hold for 5 seconds. Don't wait, go.
There should be a wedge on the floor there that holds the door open, so you don't put it up.
Yeah, so much might need to be.
Never happen anymore. Yeah.
Oh, no, just put it against the door so it can shut
Yeah.
without closing. Oh, the mayoress must go. Look after her.
Thank you. Okay, yeah, thank you. So we've got Luke here doing the CAPEX. So we got any comments or questions on this? I suppose if we just start straight at the top is the store. Like anyone like to?
That's question.
So Neil.
Can you give us an update on the Whangamatā Stormwater Action Group? They prepared a very detailed, lengthy report which went to the CE and asked a number of questions. Has there been any response to that you are aware of, or what's happened with that report?
So that would sit outside the delivery of the project. So was it?
Well, it's part of the project in terms of the the interrelationship between getting the work done and the working with the Stormwater Action Group?
I don't think it's in Luke's,
Not in your pay grade?
yeah.
Okay.
Sorry.
All right, no, that's okay.
We can probably take the question and probably ask the water services manager is probably most appropriate to respond to.
Yes, so we've got extra questions on what we've got in front of us here.
Yeah, so these questions here, have you released the tender contractor for the Hetherington Road work?
We haven't released it yet.
Do you know what it is?
I don't know the specific detail of who it is because it's still sitting with the tender evaluation panel.
Yeah.
So once it's awarded,
Yeah,
and they're advised, then we can make that public knowledge as well.
I'd like to know when.
Absolutely, yeah.
So we've got a time frame on that. I think it's in early June, isn't it?
Yes, so expected works to start before the end of the year, but complete by sort of end of September. The weeks, so it's basically going to get locked down.
Cool. So then we've got so that's Hetherington. We've just talked. Anything we go to the public road conveniences? Any
Well, Hetherington Road, Rising Main's different to.
Oh, sorry. I thought that's what we're talking about here. Okay. Yeah, so go for anything on.
Just how's that progressing?
It is.
Yep.
And so as per update, the construction should start in August. So design this year, construction next year. Just noting through the chair, the public Port Road public convenience, we have a PX item that's in mid-tender as well. So if you've got any questions, I can't talk much about that, but I need to do that in the public because of the commission.
So my point around that is that Hetherington Road, Rising Main is a wastewater pipe.
Yes.
And you've got Hetherington Road stormwater coming down the road. So it's going to be a very busy road. So there's going to be a lot of traffic management and things like that going on, I suppose.
Absolutely. Two different project managers within my team and sit a couple of metres away from each other regularly. So I will be expecting that they talk to each other about. Yeah.
Cool. So obviously you talk with the public road convenience, we can't talk about that. When we talk about the spend so far, like if we're talking stormwater project, Hetherington and that, you go down that line there, I think we spent about $700,000 so far on those three projects. So is that simply compliance and paperwork?
As in why we haven't spent?
No, why we have spent, we already have spent and the jobs haven't started. So is that?
So essentially just we've gone through our planning and design phases and those traditionally don't have as much spend as obviously construction. And so getting consultants.
So that's thinking as the spend so far as
exactly. Yeah.
So if we're talking stormwater improvement, we've spent $622,000 so far.
Yes.
On consultants and paperwork, or has actually been work done?
So we had to do investigation works because we weren't aware of what was under the ground as a condition to inform design. Yeah. And then design is quite complex, and we had a change of scope as well.
Yeah.
So we had to look back and just do the additional design for the change scope. But everything's in place now to deliver.
Cool. So on the spend so far, is there a portion of that goes and is allocated to council staff time, or is that all simply outside contractors?
There will be council project management time in this as well.
Okay. So we don't know a breakdown of that, just out of interest.
Not offhand, we can provide that.
I think it might be nice for us as select members to see if we've spent $622,000 so far, roughly where it might have gone. I start getting questions from the public, I think, when they start seeing things like, I'm not saying we've done something wrong, but it's a lot of money to have spent so far with not a shovel in the ground.
I raised that question last time, actually, that I thought it was quite a high cost for design work, and you gave the same answer, so I'm not going to raise it again, except that there's a big lump out of the budget for the project. What do you feel about the money that's been put aside for the works to be done?
So currently,
I know it's out the tender or whatever.
The market will tell us the value of the work, and have nothing back to date showing that it will be above the available budget.
So who are your external consultants, designers?
I can get the exact detail on that and provide that through you. Because it's not just one, there's a suite of different consultants.
Good to know who they are.
Thank you. Any other questions on that
We've got the road maintenances.
Just
road.
Just through the chair, before we move on, if you're wanting a bit more detail around the finances, then I would bring that to a PX item again. Because we've at market and we kind of like showing your cards playing poker to when they don't. So we've absolutely that most value for our rate payers by the process.
Also, then we go in critical structures. Anything
Well, we've got Port Road Public Convenience.
It's pointed out there.
Yes, that's right, sorry.
Yes.
Sorry.
Okay, so then we go on the next page. Is any comments on that?
No. Just note that Shabom actually left the Parks and Reserves and moved to Christchurch. So we would most probably get somebody else standing in. Do we know, Luke, who that could be?
No, hopefully Derek's got some stand-in people and support. I know AJ supports this area quite a bit, so I suspect he's an external, but will probably provide additional support while he's away.
We have got Scott, Parks Rep from Mercury Bay, two of Mercury Bay reps are going to support the right time.
Through the chair, recruitment is underway.
Don't even know. All right, thank you. So that's obviously Parks. Anything that you would like to talk about? Parks Reserves renewals?
No, but it's a key part that continually gets raised about the condition of town and looking after the assets and making sure they're presented. And we really want to keep on top of that. And there's quite a few little pressure groups in town really pushing to see this continue. So hopefully that gets somebody on board quickly and moves it forward.
We got car park resales. Any comments?
Thanks.
So anything down as we go down? Harbours or
the harbours. I'd like to quickly talk about the harbours. I think it's in 2026. There's in the LTP some work to be done down on the pontoon side of the harbours, but just these ones here around the ladders on the wharf, I understand, and just to help the kids get in and out of the water. That's where it's.
That's my understanding.
Yeah. All right.
yeah.
Okay.
Anything else from those last three items? Hall renewals, footpaths or street light?
Just the halls. We were talking about the air conditioning for the halls, especially this main hall down. Is it in next year's plan? Then we asked this year for it to look at it, and the number came out a pretty grunty number, like 100K or something like that. I don't know. Is it in next year's LTP annual plan?
I have Chairman Larissa who manages the renewals for that.
Yeah. It'd be nice to know where it's tracking. Yeah.
Just about replacing streetlights, you've allocated 64, but only spent 9, or actually, sorry, at April only 1,500. So is that going to be ramped up in the next little while to kind of fix all that?
So it looks like Rogan team has forecast to 10K basically for the rest of the year. So there won't be the balance spent.
Why did they allocate 64,000?
I know that they had some challenges around the LTP funding.
NZTA funding.
And so they had to rejig all of their program based on lease funding, and maybe that's expensive.
So what happens to that money that's left over then? Does that go into retained earnings or?
Well, hopefully 100% of that would have been NZTA. Yeah. So that's just not there.
Yeah. I think I'm not sure how it used to work, Luke, but the idea was if somebody wanted a street light, they would apply through the board and we would pass it on. In the old days, they sort of had a light at the start of the street, the middle of the street, the end of the street, because they flooded out, but now the LEDs are very down focus line. There is a little bit more of an appetite for people to get street lights, but we need them to, is that the right process still, to come through the board and feed back through to the council?
So renewals programs are around the minor renewals, which is what you're describing, and it's about prioritisation of work.
Right.
So if the board is indicating that that's a priority renewal, then that can get fed back through to the roading team. It will find where that sits within their renewals program and program it out.
Right, but I think what Kerry's raising is not just renewals, but new sites altogether.
Yes.
And so that wouldn't be classified as a renewal, but rather an addition to the existing network of lighting.
So projects like this are renewals funds for 100%.
Even if they're.
So you'd need to go for.
There is a budget for new ones, so renewals and new ones. But we're just saying the process has been coming through the board to you, and we wanted, is that still the right process for you guys to hear about
It
it?
wouldn't come through to me.
To the roading side,
Yeah.
But we need the town people to come forward and say, we want something new.
Yeah.
We don't hear that until we're having a chat over a beer or something. This is not get it on the lights.
So through the chair, a good process that you could consider is if a group came forward and said they wanted to street light an area that wasn't street lighted, we could probably host them at a networking event, hear about their idea. Eileen would give them support, connect them to the roading team, and then the roading team would follow suit with a potential project, and you support that through an annual plan or an LTP. Or it might be something that they've already got budget for.
Yeah, so we've got budget for, we can just
So we just
recommend it.
We just need to put them support the process.
You know, as Terry said, you find out from various people, oh, this lights, we need a light in our street, but it would be good to get a whole picture of the whole of the town and say, hey, if you want lighting, let us know and whereabouts, and then we can see what the size of the problem, if it is a problem.
In 2014, we went around every street and put it on a map where they were.
Oh, okay.
But that's a few years ago. So
right.
I think the lights have changed completely.
Yeah.
Too, they're all now.
Yeah, they're all flooded lights, those now.
I think
Anyway.
we'll deal with it. Of course, if they come to us wanting lights, we can deal with it then. So we're on that. So the Whangamatā Community Board receives the Whangamatā Community Board Exclude Program 24/25.
Excuse me. The stormwater summary report, is that included as part of this?
Yes.
I do have a question there. Next page over. Yeah. So just really wanting an update on the Williamson Pond project to be completed by the end of this financial year, which is about 3 weeks away.
Yeah, so I know that the plants have been purchased. It's not really a good planting season at the moment. So you'd wait until it's due spring or October. So they'll be waiting for spring, likely to do the planting for it.
Luke, Kate's put out already an email asking people to volunteer to do it. She's got a date, so I've signed up to come and do that.
Isn't it this Friday?
I thought it was this week. Yeah, it was going to happen.
I saw the brochure and everything.
So encourage people to come along and register to go and do that and come down and help plant that out. It'd be fantastic.
She might want to send out again. I don't recall that.
Yeah.
Maybe she sent planting skills.
But the point is, I believe they're going to bore holes, but at the moment it's very wet.
Yes.
Yeah.
So they may have to rethink it because I don't think it's going to be very good at the moment. It's still pretty wet.
But it's going to get wetter, isn't it? Okay, thank you.
Okay, so any other questions on that page? No? Okay, so we'll go back to.
Sorry.
No, that's all right, you know. So we received.
Just one question. Seen a lot of the local school are going to come and do the planting. So we need to work out what is happening. So perhaps Brett can come back to the board and let them know they're still proceeding or not proceeding, because the students are very keen to do it, I understand. So we don't want them turning up and nothing's going to happen. So that would be good if you could pass it on to Brent.
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
Dave, have you got something there? You got your hand up? No? No, that must have come. Okay, so this time. The Whangamatā, we received the CAPEX work program 24/25 and other information update reports dated 22nd May 25. Can we have a movement for that? Terry, second. All those in favour?
Aye.
And then we go on to 3.2.
Thanks, Luke.
Now, thank you very much. Which is we have on it only 2 items.
So at the networking this afternoon, Len Whitaker will be speaking to the board about the speed limits for wheelchairs. And
Dump station.
the dump station, I believe the payment has been in, and I talked to him And once we have a new parks reform on board, then we will have an on-site meeting with the project team and have a look to see what it's just not the slope. There's a lot more other things that are happening in signage and stuff. So I'm organising a meeting with him on site to follow those up.
Other questions on this?
Was it related to the dump station?
Yes, sorry, yeah.
So why do we show it's closed if it's still actions are happening from?
Because the actual original request was about the one way in and out, which I closed because I gave the board showing the designs were both ways.
Yeah.
But since I have met with the person, he's actually raised some other things which weren't part of this request, they're separate.
Yeah.
I believe that's why that site was chosen, because it come in. That's why we put it there. Yeah.
Just want to say a vote of thanks to Eileen for following this through. It's really good, and had contact with the person, had a chat. It was fantastic.
Yeah. All right, so the Whangamatā Community Board receives the action schedule report 29 April 2025. We have the move.
Yeah.
I'll second it. All those in favour?
Aye.
Aye.
Dave, are you able to read your chairman's report, or this email you sent me is I can read it, but it's pretty hard to see it.
Yeah, I can read it from here.
Yep, so that's 1.3.3. You've got it, Dave.
Good morning. I was going to present, I can leave that. It was timely that the election protocol for the up and coming election was released. This should be of assistance to the members seeking re-election. I wish to acknowledge the resignation of long-term employee Donna Harvey, Group Manager. Can you hear or not?
Yeah.
Group Manager at Corporate Services. Donna was always ready to assist and explain matters that required explanation. I wish her well in the future. It was interesting to see that 653 submissions have been received for the rating review consultation. The Matingi Coastal Restoration and Rewilding begins this month with work in Whangamatā, which will see native planting, weeding and pest control, as well as reshaping dunes. I know several people have been hoping for this work to be done for some time. With only 2 more community board meetings left in this term, I ask that you try to promote the interest in standing for positions. There's always those who say that young blood is required in council and comment about the female representation. This is the time candidates should be considering stepping up. It is not an easy job. Regards, stay safe. Dave Ryan.
Thank you very much, Dave. So the Whangamatā Community Board receives the Chairman's Report dated 10th of June 2025. Can we have a mover?
I'll move it.
Well, I think Dave
moves it.
Dave moved it, Mark seconded it.
Yeah.
All those in favour?
Aye.
Cool. So we're now going to go to 3.4, which is public excluded. So we have to ask the public to leave, please.
Thank you, public.
Thank you very much. See you all at the volunteers this afternoon.
Wait 5 seconds. Wait.
You'll hear
Yeah. Now,
No matter how many.
Can we discuss that?
You just don't.
it.
I don't want to exclude.
People can utilise.
I don't know. I don't remember.
Thank you, Iris. You at least know what to do.
I'll send you an email. Pete.
And to stop it, stop it.
Was it? I suppose it's a resolution.
Stop it, Eileen. Stop it.
Yes.
no,
We discussed that.
public.
Now.
Well, if
Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah, okay.
reasons for.
Yeah, I've looked at it.
Commission sensitive.
Well, I don't really think it is commercially sensitive.
Okay, so hang on, we'll split
That's
it.
what I mean. I want to have a chance to
Yeah.
speak to that.
You'd have to have a chat to the report writers because it's been run by legal counsel,
Yeah, well.
and they have agreed due to the commercial sensitivity, we have to keep it there. We can release it later if need be.
I still want to speak to it.
Okay, so I'm unsure how we do that. We're on to this item.
Well, it's part of, we've got a resolution to exclude, and I want to speak to that resolution.
Okay, so now we should have gone there, but I suppose they're gone.
Well, we can always get them back if they want to come back, but I think the overriding principle in the Local Government Official Information Meetings Act is that there is a principle of availability. information shall be made available unless there's good reason for withholding it. And I don't think there's, you know, if you have members of the public and we discuss what amount we're charging to an outside organisation for electrical power supply, I don't really think the threshold has been met in terms of meeting principle of availability. And yeah, sure, there are exceptions where it's necessary to protect information that would be likely or unreasonably to prejudice the commercial position. Well, I don't see how having public excluded prejudices the commercial position of the person who are subject to that information. And unless someone can tell me how they're prejudiced, I don't think you meet the threshold unless you can tell me that.
Right, so great.
Yeah,
I think there's this the report writer to explain to us how that's made.
Steve, I think, to Steve's on that.
Yeah. Steve, could you answer the reason why we go in public excluded for the car parks?
Yeah, sure. Happy to speak to that. Just checking you can hear me before I start.
Yep. Okay.
Yeah, so that's like it says in the reasons to exclude. So unreasonably prejudice the commercial position. So that's more in place for ChargeNet. So you've got to understand that these charge point operators have a multitude of sites around the country. They need to protect their commercial interest in terms of they'll be negotiating leases and license rates for other sites, not always on public land. So foodstuffs, private land, that we need to protect their commercial position by not releasing that information. Otherwise, anywhere else they've got a license or a lease in place with it makes it hard for them to negotiate when we're plastering it about what we're paying council.
I think I think we've come to this public excluded meeting now because of the questions that were raised last time, which was literally to go out to ChargeNet and see what they're charging elsewhere. So basically what we're doing is by protecting their name, we don't really know what they're charging elsewhere either to see if we are getting a fair price. So I suppose that's exactly what
we've got no idea what ChargeNet are charging other people.
Yeah. So how do we know we're getting a fair deal, which is what we always said from the start? That's
from
Sure.
Oh, I got mine from. So we're prejudicing ourselves. Hate ChargeNet.
I'm happy to speak to around the reasonable market rate in the report when that's appropriate. But in terms of with that report being public excluded, that's why in terms of protecting that commercial position of that operator as to not jeopardise their other fees and stuff.
If it becomes known what we are charging ChargeNet, how does that prejudice them in relation to other sites with other people which have got nothing to do with Whangamatā?
Just in the same way, they wouldn't share that information with us in terms of they want to be fair. They want to ensure that their negotiations with the existing landlords and future ones that they can negotiate that at a fair market rate and not look at it what we're paying, what they're paying us. Sorry.
So basically, we can't find out what they pay anywhere else, and they don't want us to tell any. Yeah, so that's basically what he's saying is they want to keep it secret.
So I hear what Neil's saying here, Steve, and what we're doing is we're just challenging to make sure that when these subjects come to PX, that they have been considered really strongly to make sure that if it's in the public's interest, and we think it should be in the public's interest, they should hear it rather than we just lock everything up for discussion. But I hear your point too about, having that ability for the ChargeNet to be able to have confidentiality. But you hear where we're coming from.
Yes, I do. I see it as no different to our commercial leases as well, in terms of that's their commercial right as a private operator to have the amount they're paying for a lease or a license fee to be private, regardless of whether it's with council.
Do you think this is a commercial lease at commercial rates?
It's not a commercial lease, it's a commercial license. And again, happy to speak to, and you'll see in the report, there's some rationale around staff's consideration as to that being a market rate.
Okay, so at this stage, what we're saying is you're keeping it publicly excluded and be happy to move on once we accept public excluded.
Yeah, I think Ian Neal's made a point, which is a good point.
Yeah.
And that's making sure that we really give these good consideration because the public's interest is important. But I think for sake of moving on, we move on. Yeah.
Well, we can't change it. So yeah, let's look at
We can change it, but I'll withdraw the application, as it were.
So just talking about it, Steve, if we can we talk about charging
We're
it?
going to move in second that we're going into.
Oh, we're just going into that. Sorry, yes.
Yes.
Happy to vote.
So yeah, move in second that we go to public excluded. We have to read it all. Now, Terry's moved it a second.
I'll set that.
No,
I might just, I might just oppose just for the record.
absolutely. None opposed. Cool, so then we're going to 4.1. That's the Whangamatā